Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. The Joint Board of Elections made little progress on Tuesday. The first joint meeting, which was scheduled in advance, still failed to draw a quorum when St. Croix board members decided that they needed to organize on the district level first before participating in the territorial organizational meeting. News 2's April Knight has that story.
Half the table was empty at what was supposed to be the first joint election board meeting Tuesday morning, when the St. Croix half of the joint board failed to attend.
I didn't get a reason, except this morning Mr. Bolker said that some of the members emailed him and said that they hadn't organized on St. Croix for the St. Croix district, so they didn't think they should come to the joint board meeting. Wells
said some members of the St. Croix board already confirmed they were participating, but St. Thomas members only got the notice of their absence the morning of the meeting. The two district boards have a history of conflict. Some St. Thomas members even likened the situation to being held hostage by one district board before the joint board can move forward.
Some of the members feel that way because a lot of the decisions that we need to make cannot be made because we need the input of both districts. We need to look at our bylaws. We need to look at filling the deputy position over here.
But according to Wells, the St. Croix side's absence is not necessarily a product of that conflict. The board members present still discussed outstanding issues. This week, for both districts, also marked the deadline for 2014 election candidates to submit their disclosure of campaign spending. According to Election Supervisor Fox, the reports are not necessarily going to be collated and posted in plain view. According to the election supervisor, the only way the public can gain access to those campaign spending reports is by downloading an official form from their website. The Joint Board of Elections will also have its organizational meeting again on February 5th. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
News 2 will keep you updated on how much your 2014 election candidates spent on their campaigns as soon as the election system makes those records available. The election system, meanwhile, is making progress towards addressing many of the problems found in a federal audit in 2013. Recently, federal officials with the Election Assistance Commission spoke with elections agency heads to talk about the status of that audit. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Elections officials can officially cross 7 deficiencies from their to-do list of a 2013 federal audit by the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, or EAC.
I'm happy to report that they reported that we had 7 of the action items that were closed out based on what we did over the year, and the others we still have to work on.
Federal officials held a teleconference nearly 2 weeks ago with elections top brass and board members. The audit that was the center of attention spans roughly a 10-year period beginning in 2003.
They went through the 20 items, those that were closed out, and those that weren't closed out, they kind of got a response of where we are and where we have to go.
The EAC conducted the audit to determine whether the VI used Help America Vote Act or HAVA funds properly. More than $1 million not properly tracked came into question. That undocumented spending was prior to Supervisor Fox's tenure.
I know a lot of folks have concern about the funding. They did address that they will look at their prior audit responses and follow up on some of the funding areas. If there are companies that they could track down that receipts or invoices were gained from, they could go back to that company and gain documentation of what equipment was purchased. On the other areas that are not clear, they're really not looking into the funding issue. They stated that they're not going to expend a lot of time trying to follow up.
Fox said the Inspector General who submitted the audit has closed his investigation. In the meantime, Fox said, she, her staff, and board members will continue to tackle the audit bit by bit to make sure the proper internal controls are in place.
We are making very good progress in the other areas that are under our control. They plan to provide us with some sample documents from other states, so some of the areas that we need to improve on.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Fox said several other items have been completed. They just haven't been officially closed. EAC officials have been keeping tabs on elections progress, either by phone or in person. Their last visits were in April and May. Turn our attention to other news. Some sad news to report. The body of a local fisherman who was the subject of a search at sea was identified by police on St. Thomas. Police received notification from 911 about 7:45 a.m. on January 20th that a body was floating in the water. The body was later identified as 50-year-old David Turbe of Frenchtown, St. Thomas. Turbe was reported missing by his family on Monday when he did not return from diving. We'll have more details as information becomes available. Condolences to the entire Turbe family. The VI Police Department made several arrests on St. Thomas last week. On January 14th, just before 3:30 p.m., a 16-year-old male high school student was arrested and charged with third-degree assault for striking another student in the head with a metal pipe, causing head injuries. Also on January 16th, Darlene Gisha was also arrested at about 6:45 p.m. for third-degree assault domestic violence. According to police, Gisha assaulted her boyfriend with scissors, causing injuries. She is held without bail pending court action. Earlier in the week, on January 12th, 30-year-old Neil Orson Francis Jr. was arrested for strangling and beating his girlfriend in November of last year. He was charged with second-degree assault domestic violence and also held without bail pending court action. The territory is recording their first homicides for the year. St. Thomas police are investigating a fatal shooting that occurred Sunday afternoon in Alkigata. Here's more.
Officers identified the victim as 38-year-old Jason Young of Hodges Street. Detectives said the victim was shot several times about his body. Detectives are asking anyone who knows anything about this fatal shooting to call them at 712-9833, extension 5618. 714-9843, extension 5619, or 718-9823, extension 5617. You can also call 911 or Crime Stoppers USVI at 1-800-222-TIPS.
Meanwhile, St. Croix police are also looking into a Friday afternoon shooting that left one man dead. Police have identified the 29-year-old victim as Jose Miguel Hernandez Rosa. They said he also went by the name Cuero. Police got a call about shots fired in Estate Wim around 5 or 7 p.m. When they arrived, Rosa was down with multiple gunshots. EMTs said there were no vital signs on the victim at the scene. Rosa was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police officers on St. Thomas recently made an arrest in connection to a stolen vehicle. Adam Martin, 41 years of age, was arrested January 13th and charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle, grand larceny, damage to a vehicle, possession of stolen property, reckless endangerment, and negligent driving. According to VIPD, police say they observed Martin on a surveillance camera operating a green Honda reported stolen from the parking lot of Bolongo Bay Hotel on St. Thomas. Martin's bail was set at $75,000. Turn our attention overseas. President Obama will deliver the State of the Union address tonight. And for the first time in his presidency, he'll be addressing a Republican-controlled Congress. The president has already used speeches across the country to unveil several new proposals, like free community college for students who keep up their grades. The idea comes with a $60 billion price tag, and President Obama wants to pay for it, and other plans to help the middle class with tax increases on the wealthy. The White House and Republicans have talked about finding common ground, but several pieces of legislation coming out of the new GOP-controlled Congress have been met with a veto threat. Congresswoman, meanwhile, Stacey Plaskett will be addressing her constituents in the U.S. Virgin Islands at the close of President Obama's address this evening. The Congresswoman will give a post-State of the Union statement live on Callaloo Network, streamed live via the web, and can be accessed on Callaloo Network on Callaloo News channel at www.callaloo.com. Click the live button to watch the White House TV. Live coverage will also be simulcast on noticiaenespanol.info and www.caribbeannews.us. The State of the Union address is scheduled to begin at 10 p.m. and can be seen live right here on CBS TV 2. Now, the State of the Territory, meanwhile, that's set for January 26, 2015. Keeping our eye on the economy, much of what the president plans to lay out includes 2 free years of community college, increased access to high-speed internet, and new online privacy protections. To pay for some of this, as well as nearly $200 billion in new middle-class tax cuts, the president will propose raising capital gain taxes for top earners and imposing new fees on large financial institutions. Well, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all up. The Dow 3, Nasdaq 20, S&P 3. Coming up on News 2, WAPA's Executive Director Hugo Hodge gave an update on the progress of the authorities' switch to propane. Details coming up when we return. Last Friday, Governor Kenneth Mapp announced the appointment of Franz A. Christian Sr. to lead the LEPC, which is the Law Enforcement Planning Commission. The LEPC is responsible for the federal funding and grant writing needs for the law enforcement community. Former Commissioner Christian brings a plethora of knowledge and experience to the commission, he stated. Christian is a graduate of St. Joseph's High School in St. Croix. He received a degree in police science from the College of the Virgin Islands and studied business administration. He joined the VIPD in 1974, working his way up from police officer. He held each classified and unclassified rank in the department to include commissionership. WAPA's Executive Director Hugo Hodge gave an update on the progress of the authority's switch to propane. He presented it at the weekly meeting of the Rotary Sunrise Club on St. Thomas. At the meeting, Hodge also spoke on the solar technology that is being added to WAPA's power grid, as well as other initiatives geared toward reducing the cost of power for Virgin Islanders.
Coupled with the reduction in fuel costs, has brought significant savings to us already. So as of today, as of January 1 actually, of 2015, the residential LEAC, or the residential complete rate, is now 39.2 cents. The commercial is 42.2 cents. That 39.2 cents is down from, in September of 2014, was 51 point some odd cents. That's about a 31% reduction since September. There's been a lot of talk about what that's relative to or what's the reason for it. A portion of that savings, yes, is from reduced fuel costs, but a significant portion is from the propane project and the anticipation when it comes online as well.
And just a quick note to innovative customers, there will be a change to innovative cable rates next month. Effective February 15th, costs will increase slightly for customers. Recently, Innovative undertook a system-wide upgrade to provide more services such as additional HD channels and the TV Everywhere service. Officials say while they are aware of local economic conditions, their costs are based on prices they receive from their programmers. Officials also say they try to keep the increases passed to customers to a minimum. For more information, you can log on to www.innovativevi.net. Innovative is the parent company of CBS TV2. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was remembered with a peace march on Monday afternoon from the Rothschild Francis Market Square to Emancipation Garden, and that was the scene there on Main Street. Many were in attendance. Although few showers of blessings fell earlier in the day, many schools and civic organizations joined the distinguished gentlemen of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Here's more.
More than ever, we must continue to struggle. Today, the axis of evil is no longer wearing sheets and hoods. Today, the axis of evil is wearing a suit and tie, or the uniform of a police officer, or black robes, or they get elected to public office. 52 years after Dr. King's infamous speech, we still face the demons of racism, racial, ethnic, and gender inequality. In this age and in this time, we continue to be under attack by those who Dr. King told us to love.
Well, a few meetings from the Department of Education to tell you about. Eulalie Rivera PTA meeting will be held at 5:30 in the school library on Wednesday. And Senator Nellie O'Reilly of the 31st Legislature of the VI is presently discussing her plans to improve the quality of education in the territory at Lumuckle Elementary School's Parent-Teachers Association. Now, that started earlier this evening in the school cafeteria. The 7th annual Cruz de Barcas Dog Parade had over 40 participants Saturday afternoon. Dogs and their owners paraded down the Christiansted Boardwalk in colorful costumes, from purple to turquoise and even stripes. Everybody was decked out to this year's theme, Under the Sea. Dogs from the St. Croix Animal Shelter also participated in curls, flowers, and much more. First place went to Foxy in her mermaid's costume, with Dragon in her scuba outfit, and finished second. And from head to toe, from nose to tail, a great time was had by all. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.